when the men were released and we went and identified the second group, and by the way, we had an internal advisory committee that consisted of various representatives from different organizations. The Great Panther, the Muslim community, Christian community, the Jewish community, maybe a few. Even we asked for members of the gay community, but I got this letter from a few gay men saying that Brother Goldsby, we really appreciate what you're trying to do, but we coming out. We coming out of the closet in prison. Now, there were some men who was pipe flamboyant, walking around in drag, and called themselves women, and it was our decision that we would not accept them on the advisory. We might have done wrong, we might have done right, but we were talking about dealing with the rage of black men. And if you think you're a woman, then that doesn't help us. So we made the decision. We made that decision to do that. Where am I on this?
All the way up to getting the house, first person out.
And talking about the advisory council.
Yes.
The advisory council helped us select the first group, and the institution helped us with creating the application to make sure that the people that we was reaching out to was targeting was the right. So the target group second time violent offenders, aggravated assault, simple assault, and or at least one homicide. The first group, the second group. The second group we worked with for the 4 years, but the program ended, and that was a mixed blessing. The politics within the state changed, and the country actually changed. That's when the contract on America, Newt Gingrich, Ridge came on board in the state of Pennsylvania. The Mudman situation happened. How did you do that? The Mudman situation, explain.
That's all right. I better be able to get through this, right? I need to see who's helping me out here.
So the politics of the whole country changed. There was riot throughout, and you know how. And so it was a mixed blessing in that our second group did not get out, and I'll tell you why. We would have had a group of men in the house. We would have had a group of men that we were working with on the inside, and we only had volunteers and no staff. So we save some of the questions that might come out of that for the question and answer period. That curriculum has changed. So the program, the second group was not released because of the fear that politicians had placed into the American public around violent offenders. And so we did not go in, or we did not graduate our second participants. Our first group participants in the residential facility did well. We had some incidents that I can go into later if there are some questions about it. During from 1995 to maybe 2000, maybe 2003, the organization went into dormant. I took the facility, curriculum 2, and at that point the board was burnt out. The board actually devolved. It ceased to exist. They said, William, it was just done. They said, take the seal and put it on a railroad track that you can't run over. And we had, I would venture to say we did good, because all of us, the program was sexy, it was seductive, it was progressive, it was seductive in the sense that that's the idea of working with violent offenders. Yeah. The second time, it was seductive. So the people on the board were challenged and gun-ho, and worked diligently and hard, and it was a working board. But when the politics changed, When we realized we did not have enough resources to run all three components, the board evolved itself. Organization went into dormant. I took the curriculum into a halfway back facility, and that's where if you violate parole rather than sending people back to jail, you go into this facility. And we took the curriculum in the three pillars: individual, relationship, and political, and facilitated it at a hospitality house. And that lasted for quite a while, until about 2001, 2003. Hospitality house, before we went in, had a 90% recidivist rate in terms of people going in to keep from going to jail, ended up going to jail. During the 10-year reconstruction there, it went down to 65%. We had a graduation, they were there for 6 months. We had a graduation at the end of each 6 months. After the first group graduation, they came back, and men came back and said that it was just real. They had challenges dealing with the parole officers, dealing with relationship, and just simply understanding how to navigate the community sober as principal people. And hence, we started the Alumni Ex-Offenders Association. And there was quite a few policies that they created as men coming out and creating these programs. One is that no one is allowed to be there who's stipulated by the parole officer because it created a different flavor. That program lasted until 2003. There was a wave of young people that began to come into the Alumni Ex-Offenders Association Friday night groups. We would meet every Friday. We would have 25, 30 people in that group. And our emergency response system came out of that. What that means is that between the time that men and women would come into the group, they would relapse, they would have issues with their families, they would have this, that, and the other. We would be called anywhere to pull anyone out of any drama, trials, and/or tribulation. And once they come back to the group, one of the first things of order, once we do the check-in, what is your role? What was your role in that conflict? What was your responsibility? But in regards to the Alumni Ex-Offenders Association meetings on Fridays and the influx of young people, the group had a practicum. They were responsible for going into what we call the Northeast Treatment, which was a facility for young people who were being held. They had either gone to court and waiting for placement or being held to go to court. Yeah.
5 minutes. Questions. And then questions and answers.
5 minutes. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can speak. So, the Alumni Ex-Offenders Association began to receive young people under 25 who had served time in state prisons, under 25. And they began to go to Northeast Treatment as well. The young people was vibing with the older heads, but they vibed even more with the younger people. And they created a very decent program of going to court with them, going to their families to get their family to represent them in court, to get them to be much more cognitive of their situation. And at that point is where leadership education, advocacy, and development, they gave themselves that name, the young people that was coming to the Alumni Ex-Offenders Association and was going to the net. They came up with that name, and they were doing such a good job that the city contracted Lee to do groups in 3 different youth groups in the city. So, organization where we go over here. The curriculum, though we have talked about, or I have talked about it in the form of